Has Chelsea done enough to keep hold of Rudiger? I'm optimistic if they keep this build-up going.
Yeah.
Because if not, they might stop too early and they might get a lot of question marks too early.
It's taken a little while for this deal to be finalised, but it has now all been sorted. He is a Chelsea player, Raheem Sterling. So what do you make of it? How big a statement is this signing?
It's great. I mean, before I already said it, I talked about him. I like him as a player. I think he achieves a lot as an individual, and I think sometimes we don't want to take it too lightly, because I remember meeting him one time in LA. He's now as well in LA, but that was when he joined Guardiola's team, and we had a quick chat because we ended up staying at the same hotel at that time, and we talked quickly. But I could see that I was talking to a young boy. And he made that comment himself, a young boy that turned into a man. And I think that is what Chelsea's getting. He's getting a man that has the experience. And I remember so much was going towards him in the sense of trying to almost, what I say, it's trying to affect him in his performance. And the way he responded to it was incredible. So I'm looking forward to see him because he's so difficult to play against. Oh, my God.
I'm the same, Mario. It's a transfer that really excites me, because I think the fact he'll go down and get more game time, and he'll be, in many ways, I think he'll be a bigger fish in the pool than he was at Manchester City. I think it's a great move. He's still a young man. We couldn't believe we were speaking about it. He's still a young man with, a big future in front of him. So I'm really looking forward to that. And as a Chelsea man, I'm really pleased. But I want to talk to you. You and I had a conversation last week. And I was a little bit concerned about the centre-back position with obviously Rudiger leaving and Christensen leaving. It looks like Koulibaly's going to be the next signing. What's your views on that one, mate?
It's incredible that they Rudiger left, and I think he left a big gap for Chelsea, and it took him a long time to get his feet in. I don't want to say too long, because definitely last season he was so instrumental. But now they go after, I don't want to say the same, but he's pretty similar to Rudiger. Yep. And they go and get the similar player. And I'm asking myself, has Chelsea done enough to keep hold of Rudiger? That was my question, because I'm not saying that Koulibaly is not a great signing, but I'm saying, Rudiger, you had already, you knew exactly what he was going to give you. And his background is German, your coach is German. It all fits in one. Now you go after another player, and Koulibaly, come on, everybody knows about Koulibaly. If you love football, you love Koulibaly. He's skillful, he's strong, he has the speed, can score goals. So the quality, I won't say anything. The only question I have for Koulibaly is the speed of the game. Because where he's coming now and where he's coming from in Italy, I enjoy watching it. But now we're coming into England, and we all know how the ball game is getting played in England. It's just the speed. And can he handle that really quickly? Then I'm not worried about him.
It's interesting when you talk about obviously players coming over from Italy. Now we know Romelu Lukaku did used to play in England before he moved back with Chelsea, but that didn't work out. We're still waiting for whether or not they're going to bring in someone to replace him. Is that something that they need to address this window? Are you happy though, or are you happy with the forward line that they have now that they've got Sterling in there as well?
I like firepower. I'm telling you, man. I love it, I love excitement. I mean, why would I be a person that says, no? Because I've been on two sides of the game. I've been on the game where I have top strikers, and Ellie, he can definitely join me in that conversation. The feeling when Ellie scores all those goals for you, it's a great feeling. We didn't play together, but trust me, I've seen it. But I also been on the side where I needed goals. So having said that, Chelsea's been in that situation. They've been in both. And I feel like now, letting your striker go that you invested so much money in, I have a question now. Are you going to wait really long? Because you definitely need to make a move. And if you don't want to make the move, because I just don't want to make sure that everybody understands. It's not like I'm looking that they keep buying players. I want to see they invested so much in the youth, because I've been at the training ground. I've seen everything. I also want to see some young boys coming through. And I don't want Chelsea just to be a buying club and just start buying everybody.
Yeah. Does that mean then, I'm sorry, just to pick up on that, Conor Gallagher is one that I'm really intrigued about, and what's going to happen with him this season. Obviously, he's been out on loan spells much earlier in his career with Charlton and Swansea and West Brom, and obviously last season, brilliant at Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Would you like to see him have a big impact, or can he have a big impact at Chelsea this season?
Oh, man, I saw him the other day, and just the way he is, I was standing there and I was talking I was actually, it was a funny moment. I was talking to Aspilicueta and we had a conversation. We talking and Sawyer, started talking to me. Next thing you know, he comes by, walks back, shakes my hand. The way he smiles. And I'm like, man, this kid is not only a good player, he's also a gentleman. I'm like, wow, okay. So, some of the kids that, some of the young boys, because my journey was definitely not in their time. But as much as they know enough, and they stopped, and we end up I'm meeting them at their hotel because I literally had food. I didn't even know they were staying there, and then someone took me and said, "Yeah, they're staying there." So I had a chat with them, and he was one of the players. And if you ask me, do I want to see someone breaking through and making his step into Chelsea? That will be Gallagher, because what he did at Palace, and the way Vieira talked about him. Sometimes when you see players, you see them perform really well, and it's good that he took a step away, because if he would be waiting, he would be playing in the reserve for such a long time, and sometimes it takes too long instead of sitting on the bench. He took that step, developed himself, and now I feel he's ready for competition. He is 100% ready to compete for his spot.
Mario, what do you think? What do Chelsea need to compete right at the top against Manchester City and Liverpool? Because I think the general consensus of opinion would be that those two teams were slightly better than the rest, and very much better in some cases. But looking at it, and Chelsea brought one or two in, do they need, as we mentioned earlier, do they need to go another centre-back? Do they need a Lewandowski? What, in your opinion, do they need to make them challengers?
Yeah, they definitely need another defender. I think they need to slot that in. Why? Because that does not mean that the guys that they have, because they're talking to Reece James to extend his contract. I'm talking about the young boys in the mountain, the Reece James. But I'm just talking about having that. You need to build up your competition. And those two teams that you just mentioned, Liverpool and the City, their competition is so frightening. Yeah. If you're in that team, sometimes I remember being a young boy coming in a team, and Ellie, when you train with the first team, you're almost nervous. Normally you're nervous with the game, but I was nervous sometimes training at Ajax. I was like, those guys just won a Champions League last season. So having said that, at Chelsea, I want the same thing. I want the young boys to come into the team and know that they have to perform at the training ground. And I feel like, Chelsea has to add more to it. But like I said, I don't want it to be a buying team. But yes, I want to see a centre forward, because if you let one go, who's going to provide you the goals? Mm-hmm. And Harvard is the one that he's sometimes a false nine. If you get a centre half, they're talking to Ake. So I want just to make sure they have a strong team, because I feel like the two men that you mentioned, Liverpool is a strong team, not only individuals. City is a strong team, not only individuals. And Chelsea has to make sure they build that really well.
Just quickly, Mario, are you optimistic about the season?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. If they look, I'm optimistic if they keep this build-up going.
Yeah.
Because if not, they might stop too early, and they might get a lot of question marks too early. So that's the only thing I have. But away from that, if you got a team like this, there is sunny LA, guys. Come on now. Everything is possible in this city as long as they just stay fit. That's all I want.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.